Hello, I'm Wilson Hearn. I'm a mechanical engineer.
Hey, I'm Jacob Hearn. I'm a paper science and chemical engineering major.
Hello, I'm Alex Jackson. I'm an aerospace engineering major.
Hey, I'm Will Gregory and I'm a construction engineer major.
And this is our FED Day final design video. Starting off is our design cycle implementation. When we started this process, we were given a set of basically rules and limitations, and we started off first by asking ourselves very basic questions like what we wanted, what we needed to get what we wanted done, and we started kind of just giving ourselves roles within the group.
So at the beginning of our research, we evaluated what the best concrete to use was, and we figured out that that the best mix would be glass beads, and then we also found the concrete powder that would work the best, which was quickcrete, and then we just put those together, and that's the best thing that we found for it.
After our research, we started designing what we wanted in CAD. Basically, this was going to be a rough estimate of what our final design would look like. And basically working through a couple of separate things of what we wanted, we decided on this design for CAD. And that would help us with 3D printing.
So we faced multiple challenges up to this point. Our first challenge that we faced was trying to find good, credible sources that we could use for our research. And this is because there's many resources online, but a lot of them either didn't have anything backing them up or they just made stuff. It seemed like they made stuff up because they had nothing backing them up. And then another challenge we faced was trying to figure out a way to kind of mold the concrete around this canoe. And then our third challenge we faced was our CAD design. Was because the 3D printers are 7 inches long. They can print 7 by 7 by 7 at most. And our 3D print was 14 inches long by itself. And so in order to do this, we printed in 2 parts, as you can see, the blue and the white part. And this led to even more problems because the white part printed with no problems, or not the white part, the blue part printed no problems, but this white part had, the first time we printed it, the print failed. Second time we printed it, the print disappeared, apparently. And then the third time we printed it off campus and we had no problems with it then. But each time it messed up was an extra 2 or 3 days every time it messed up. And then this leads into our next thing, testing and improving. Because we had so many problems with 3D printing, it cut into our testing time. And then so this made our testing time very shortened. And this is something we could have improved on a lot. But our first test was we poured the concrete on, we poured it on a little too thin. And so once we got it off the mold, it ended up cracking and becoming just falling apart almost. And so due to it being short on time, we poured the concrete a little bit thicker and just so it stay in one piece. And that's what we ended up bringing into design day. And then, so our project functioned very well in 2 main aspects. The first aspect was it helped shape very well, and it did not fall apart like our first project. And then, like our first project did, so that was a big win on our first test. And then another good thing about our project was the pouring method we used. Was this project with more time, we could have made a very good canoe that would have floated and performed very well.
All right, so a few shortcomings. So it wasn't fully V-shaped. So the front is, as you can see, but the back is not. So that didn't go good for us. And then this thing is pretty heavy. It's hard to tell, but because we poured it so thick, because we didn't want it to break like our last one, it's quite heavy. And then the canoe does not displace enough water to float. So as you can see, it's very shallow, and many of the canoes would have been deeper. So we noticed that. And then a few of the solutions was to redo our CAD design. So when we printed it, we could have just printed like 2 of these front pieces almost, as this front piece has the V shape, and then put those together. And then we could have, of course, tried to not pour too thick if we had more testing time, and then sand down the outside to make it smoother. And then, of course, like I said, make the canoe deeper so it can displace more water and hold more weight.
And then going off what Alex said, keeping the concrete canoe smooth would not allow cracks and stuff like that, and it would be able to stay afloat if the water didn't get in so quickly.
And our final design, as they're in that picture, and also as we've shown in the video, is right there. A little bit thicker and a little bit heavier than what we intended. And then moving on to advice.
Yep. So the first thing I'd say to the freshmen is to start early, and it seems like a no-brainer, but like all kinds of problems will show up, and you can't like prepare for all of them. So the sooner you start, the more prepared you are.
And when you create your timeline at the beginning, make sure to actually try to follow it so you give yourself room to make mistakes and try more than once and have it perfect for the FED project.
And this also seems like a pretty basic advice, but it's detrimental if you don't follow it. Make sure you follow the rules to a T. These are the only things that are given to you. And as this is the process, this is all you can have.
And then a final piece of advice was don't be afraid to ask other groups for advice. Don't take what they say as like an exact fact, but just kind of take some ideas from them and move them and put them into your own project.
Here's our references from our research that we did. And thank you guys very much for watching our video. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ah, ah, ah.
All right.